Alright, in the interest of simplicity, let's try it this way, and we'll see how things go. The main issue facing us now, which really, the reason it's the main issue is because we won't know of any other issues if this sort of situation goes forward the way that it's envisioned by some. Well, the main issue is the censorship that's ongoing, the so-called fake news, the idea that in some way or another they're going to censor the internet. And there's different facets of this. There's different parts of this. For instance, there's a new push to have algorithms, which might already be beginning. And these algorithms will decide what is sort of a real story and what is sort of a fake story. But when you look more closely, it looks like they're targeting outlets that they don't prefer. They being, I think the New York Times is behind this. This is all in an article by Robert Perry about the algorithms of censorship. The New York Times, Bellingcat, which is a propaganda outfit, really, more or less. Some of the other mainstream media, they all are pushing this idea. So far, there's a story that happened to be fake that was cited. But they also cited the idea that Sputnik or RT pushes so-called fake stories. Now, we have to keep in mind that the New York Times and the Washington Post is rather fake. Most famously, the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq story. But there are certainly, if you were to dig deeper, there are certainly many, many other examples of this. There's a guy, I don't know what happened to him. He used to do a presentation on all the photographs that were used in some of the mainstream media that were said to be one thing but then turned out to be something else. We have that famous picture that we know in Yugoslavia, what was Yugoslavia. The media were inside the fence, on the inside of this fenced-in area, photographing outward, and they claimed that the people were the ones inside the fence, and it was said to be some kind of camp. Turned out to not be true. They got some kind of award for this. You can't make this up. And people might think I'm making this up, but you can find this. Well, currently you can find this if you look. We'll see if you'll still be able to find it in several days. Right. And so this is what's going on. Then we have the whole push towards net neutrality. That in itself could be a way of, probably likely will have the effect of putting some people in fast lanes, which may or may not slow down the internet in general and slow down the other traffic, which aren't the traffic which isn't put in the fast lanes. The idea of ending net neutrality, the new sort of Republican, and maybe some Democrats, but this one does happen to be mostly the Republicans, oddly enough. Getting rid of net neutrality and allowing the ISPs to more or less, in a way, have a form of censorship. That's what that is. To speed up or slow down as they see fit. Alright, well, I'm going to put this actually on my Tumblr. And just as an audio, because I like doing things differently sometimes. And post it as a Politics is Done in the Darkness sort of podcast. Maybe make a video and put it on YouTube of it too, but we'll see. But yeah, that's what's going on, and it'll be to the point where not only don't the people know, they don't even know that they don't know. That's how this is panning out. That's how devious this is. We might already be there to some extent. There's things we still seem to be able to find out that we seem to know, but it's not all that clear that maybe there's already a lot of stuff that is being suppressed that we're not being able to see. Certainly there's a lot of stuff on the internet that is false, but I have a sense that the New York Times and the Washington Post just wants to go after information that they don't like. It's just that simple. Meanwhile, the wars continue. The world is in a precarious position. I know that in Syria things are looking up a little bit. There's rumors that the U.S. might try to invade from Jordan, which would be a bad thing if they tried that. But there's talk of safe zones, which is a weird thing. The Russians and the Iranians are buying into this idea of safe zones. I guess they're okay with safe zones as long as they tend to be more or less in control of them, and not the U.S. Of course, the U.S. will be in control of them in their area, over sort of in the west, parts of the west of Syria. Or no, not the west. Parts of the sort of, I guess that's the east of Syria, really. Right, they'll be in control over in the other section of Syria, more closer to Iraq. And the section that the Russians are controlling and dominating near Damascus, with their base at, I always pronounce this wrong, Tartus, over there. They have a naval base in the closer to the Assad, where the Assad keeps his government, in the capital of Damascus, and other large areas of Syria too. So you have the situation where the Kurds, with their mainly American allies, who are now being sort of hassled or, bothered, being attacked, really, I guess, by the Turkish. And this has caused problems between the U.S. and Turkey. But you have the Kurds with their American allies closer to Iraq. You have the different various so-called rebel, quote-unquote, groups. And you have the government of Syria. So we'll see how this pans out with their no-go zones, their safe zones. And if we're able, but probably it really is leading, which is unhappily leading to. But this is probably a better situation than never-ending war, I suppose. It's not what people want. To partition. That's what it looks like. We still have the war going on in Yemen. And we'll see what the Saudis do in Yemen. And we still have the situation over in North Korea, which is more bluster than anything, but we'll see. And the continuing situation, the continuing war zone in parts of the Ukraine, it looks like. Alright, well, I guess that's enough for now.